Taking some water at the north end of Ingalls Lake. This might be the last time I see water for a long time. Could turn into a long day today. Hello everyone, welcome. We're once again in the Alpine Lakes Wilderness, and this time on our way to the west ridge of Mount Stuart. As always, I'll give a disclaimer. Climbing is inherently dangerous. Obviously, I don't know your skill level or experience. I can't make a risk assessment for you. But what I hope to do here is give you the video to make your own risk assessment. It was about 4.5 miles walk in to the north end of Ingalls Lake. And then from there, I'm traversing around the hillside over to Stuart Pass. About a half a mile of walking, and thankfully don't have to lose too much elevation here. And from the junction on Stuart Pass, we'll keep moving up into the east, up and toward a couloir on the southwest face of Mount Stuart. It'll be the second one from the west, and we had a good view of it this morning on the approach. I had a close-up view of the first couloir, and if you didn't know exactly what you were looking for, it probably would have been easy to take that one by mistake. But from there, the trail goes a little bit further east, and after less than 5 minutes, I popped out at the correct couloir. Checked my photos to make sure that the skyline matches up, and the rock here is just as good as advertised. A funny thing, because when you see it from a distance, it looks pretty miserable. So thus far, this is great. Within a few minutes, we come to the first fork in the road. From what I've read, this is the only one that isn't obvious which way to go, but we'll be turning to the left here. So far, it's been Class 3 scrambling on solid rock. A few sections of Class 4 in here, but still good rock. Maybe you could keep it to Class 3 if you really tried. At the second junction, it's tempting to follow a trail to the left, but although it is the path of least resistance, it just tops out on a ridge. So I backtracked a little bit and went right up some smooth slabs. And it was still a long walk up the couloir from there. And I was getting to the point where I was worried that I might not see the notch that I'm looking for. But as the direction said, walk straight up, directly up into a head wall, and then turn right. And then the notch is right in front of me. So not as hard to find as I thought it would be. Solid fourth class scramble. Just follow this slab over to the left. And as usual, a couple of loose rocks, but mostly solid. At the notch, have the view of Long John Tower, and then we'll be aiming for a notch to the left of there. So, scouting out the route right now. I know there's an alternate route to the left that's a little bit more technical. And to my knowledge, there was a rock fall on the right-hand side that brought down some loose scree. But regardless, I'm going to give it a shot, see how it goes. A ton of loose scree in the lower section, though thankfully it hasn't got too steep yet. Definitely didn't take the most direct route there. I started out going right and then traversed back to the left. It's no worse than Class 4, but there is an exposed step around move. Above the crux portion, it's more scrambling on some super loose rock. If you've got anyone else around you, do be careful here. Finally in the sun, the notch under Long John Tower. From here I see a few trails going in different directions. I'm pretty certain we have to drop down a little bit and switch into a different couloir. This supposedly is the most difficult section of route finding. Yeah, I'm just winding down a sandy scree slope, and I can see a cairn directly in front of me on the rib. I might be able to scramble to that, take a shortcut. I had to squeeze myself a little bit here to stay on this ledge, but I'm pretty certain there's an alternate if you walk down further. And quickly we're into the next couloir already. From here we ascend just a short distance, and then we'll be looking for an exit on the right. This couloir looks a lot like the one we ascended in the beginning. Class 3 scrambling on solid rock. We have some black rock slabs on our right, and then just above those, I think, is the exit to the tunnel Underfoot. There's still a little footpath leading in here too, although I've seen so many errant footpaths on this route already. I don't know if that means anything. A couple of more cairns marking the way, and there's a little hole in the ground beneath us. Even with a small backpack, it looks like this might be tight, but as long as you know what you're looking for here, it's not terribly elusive. Even with a small backpack, that was pretty tight and awkward, but it's short. From the tunnel Underfoot, traversing across some ledges, down a little bit, and then up to another chimney. Turns out that the butt scooch slab functions exactly as advertised. I just walk the upper half and then sit down on my butt for the lower half. I'm in a position now I can see a chimney up ahead leading to a tunnel. I'm pretty sure I have to go through that tunnel. And then underneath, another little tunnel up in the sky. The slab here on the right hand side has nice little notches in it that make great hand and footholds. Okay, after the chimney, turn to the left and traverse around the hillside. I can see a general view of the route up to the notch underneath the summit block. I popped up just over the first little ledge, scrambling, turn a little to the right, and in front of me, I don't know if it can be seen in the photo, but I can see a rock that's balanced up on the tower, and I think that's our marker to turn to the left up into the West Ridge Notch. A little bit more class 3 scrambling, but not the hard kind. And again, this is a place where it looks like there's a few trails that are wandering too high up on the hillside. Should be just a few small ups and downs before you get to the balanced rock. It's just around the corner from me here, and there's a small drop on a sandy trail. I followed some cairns down a path to the right of the balanced rock, and then you can see the gray gully to my left. I think this will take us up to the notch beneath the summit. Nearly at the top of the gully, looking up at a notch. Turn toward the east, toward the right, and scramble up toward a second notch. From the higher notch on the west face, or at the bottom of the west face, we looking to move out onto a ledge temporarily onto the north, and then I think climb our way up into a notch, but have to check it out first. Yeah, immediately after the traverse, be turning and looking up at a small notch in the ridge. Exposed class 4 mostly the whole way. And from here, I'll be traversing just a little bit right before I move up again and then back left. Couple of more short and exposed moves through here. Now moving back again to the left toward the center of the ridgeline, I think. From the top of the notch, turn right and then go directly up an exposed narrow ridgeline. I started to doubt myself for a minute, but I can see some belay anchors telling me I'm on the right path. Just a few steps up the ridgeline from the third pitch, and I can see a little bench that I'm aiming for a little bit below me, but I have to climb just a little bit higher to find a chimney to down climb. From the far end of the ledge, turned to my left and then moved up a smooth slab. I think we're getting into low class 5 territory here. A little bit of boulder hopping on some semi-exposed boulders, but I was able to get a glimpse of the crux pitch just up and a little bit to my right, just scrambling on big boulders to get there. Okay. Into a little notch. I think this is where it's going to get more difficult, but good handhold on my left, and yeah, crack and good spot, solid spot at the top. So okay, awkward but short. I think that's it. I think that's it. Short but awkward. Yeah, I think we're in scramble to the summit territory. From the top of the crux pitch, it is quite literally just a few steps up to the summit. Okay, thoughts on West Ridge. I really did enjoy that crux. Even though it's a 5-6, it felt like it was just one or two 5-6 moves, and then it was over almost as fast as it began. There was a certain section around pitch 3 that I really didn't like. Into the narrow notch and then turn right. You're up on a super narrow ridge where it feels like the holds are kind of flimsy. It is definitely a convoluted route and long. The only reason I didn't struggle more is because I had some great beta. But wow, if you didn't have beta, man, you'd be up here a long time trying to find this route. A lot of trails going in the wrong direction too. Although I did find the cairns to be trustworthy. Couldn't really rely on the trails here. The descent route will be Cascadian Couloir. I think it's no worse than third class. But we'll be moving east from here over to a false summit and then looking for a couloir down to our right. Little scramble down off the summit block on, I think it's the east side. Probably was another way down over toward the west, but this way keeps me high up on the ridge. I think that's where I need to be. Scrambling over rocks with a lot of cairns, and I'm still high up on the ridge. Looks like I'll be passing over the false summit near the top of it. Over the false summit, and I can see the Cascadian Couloir beneath me. Looks like there's a good scrambling route down to there, even if it is a little bit steep. Just want to stay to the right of the little pyramid in front of me. A ton of loose rock and loose scree in here. Pretty tedious, really not enjoyable. Good news is here is that at least the route is straightforward. I can see where I'm going all the way down into the valley. I'm looking down at a flat section covered in trees, and then I can see to the right of that another steep couloir dropping in, and that's the way I want to go. It is nice to be back at a water source again. Haven't had any water fill up since Ingalls Lake this morning. That was a long descent, about 4,000 feet of scree slopes, and it was hot and everything looked the same, and I was surrounded by flies. It's about a 4-mile walk out from here, with the first mile going over Long's Pass, so about a 1,500 foot ascent. And I've been walking downhill so long that I'm actually excited for this ascent. That ascent on the west ridge was highly enjoyable, and coming down Cascadian Couloir felt like the exact opposite. And am I glad that's over. Anyway, that was Mount Stuart West Ridge. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful for planning your own trip. As always, I'd love your feedback. What did you like? What can I do differently? And what other peaks and routes would you like to see? Okay, bye.